I
Yeah,
almost
Sami
said
Prabhu can correct me.
Can you say
I
it
almost
again?
said euro.
I mean, aero.
Yeah, it's
Is it
Eero.
correct?
Arrow, arrow,
Eero.
Aero.
arrow.
Yeah,
Like arrow,
Manupap
like a
has always
brahmastra.
that little accent there. Especially with R's, because we have like R, it's R. Eero. Not
All right.
there is not no like twist at all.
Actually, that the letter R was the hardest letter for me to pronounce when I was learning English.
Yeah. In Finnish language, there is many like hard R's. So for Finnish people, it's pretty easy because they use a lot of R, and it's really hard one. It's not like soft R. Okay, Haribo, let's read this Mangalacharan prayers.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haritpriye Panchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashattare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaitat Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribo. Okay, so welcome to the reading session, and today we read Krishna book, and the chapter is 16. This is really good chapter. It's subduing Kalya snake. One second. Okay, Haribo. When he understood that the water of the Yamuna was being polluted by the black serpent Kalya, Lord Krishna took action against him and made him leave the Yamuna and go elsewhere, and thus the water became purified. When this story was being narrated by Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Pariksit became eager to hear more about Krishna's childhood pastimes. He inquired from Shukadeva Goswami how Krishna chastised Kalya, who was living in the water for many years. Actually, Maharaj Pariksit was becoming more and more enthusiastic to hear the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, and his inquiry was made with great interest. Shukadeva Goswami narrated the story as follows. Within the river Yamuna, there was a great lake, and in that lake the black serpent Kalya used to live. Because of his poison, the whole area was so contaminated that it emanated a poisonous vapor 24 hours a day. If a bird happened to even pass over that spot, he would immediately fall down in the water and die. Due to the poisonous effect of the Yamuna's vapors, the trees and grass near the bank of the Yamuna had all dried up. Lord Krishna saw the effect of the great serpent's poison. The whole river that ran before Vrindavan was now deadly. Krishna, who had vented himself just to kill all undesirable elements in the world, immediately climbed up in a big Kadamba tree on the bank of the Yamuna. The Kadamba is a round yellow flower, generally seen only in the Vrindavan area. After climbing to the top of the tree, he tightened his belt cloth and, flapping his arms just like a wrestler, jumped in the midst of the poisonous lake. The Kadamba tree from which Krishna had jumped was the only tree there which was not dead. Some commentators say that due to touching the lotus feet of Krishna, the tree became immediately alive. In some other Puranas, it is stated that Garuda, the eternal carrier of Vishnu, knew that Krishna would take his action in the future, so he put some nectar on this tree to preserve it. When Lord Krishna jumped into the water, the river overflooded its banks, as if something very large had fallen into it. This exhibition of Krishna's strength is not at all uncommon, because he is the reservoir of all strength. Hare Krishna. Okay, anyone can continue for the next page. Haribo.
When Krishna was swimming about just like a great strong elephant, he made a tumultuous sound which the great black serpent Kalia could hear. The tumultus was intolerable for him, and he could understand that this was an attempt to attack his home. Therefore, he immediately came before Krishna. Kalia saw that Krishna was indeed worth seeing because his body was so beautiful and delicate. Its color resembled that of a cloud, and his legs resembled a lotus flower. He was decorated with Shrivatsa, jewels, and yellow garments. He was smiling with a beautiful face and was playing in the river Yamuna with great strength. But in spite of Krishna's beautiful features, Kalia felt anger within his heart, and thus he grabbed Krishna with his mighty coils. Seeing the incredible way in which Krishna was enveloped in the coils of serpent, the affectionate cowherd boys and inhabitants of Vrindavana immediately became stunned out of fear. They had dedicated everything to Krishna, their lives, property, affection, activities, everything was for Krishna. And when they saw him in that condition, they became overwhelmed with fear and fell down on the ground. All the cows, bulls, and small cows became overwhelmed with grief, and they began to look at him with great anxiety. Out of fear, they could only cry in agony and stand erect on the bank, unable to help their beloved Krishna. While this scene was taking place on the bank of Yamuna, and while this scene was taking place on the bank of the Yamuna, there were ill omens manifest. The earth trembled, meteors fell from the sky, and the bodies of men shivered. All these are indications of great immediate danger. Observing the inauspicious signs, the cowherd men, including Maharaj Nanda, became very anxious out of fear. At the same time, they were informed that Krishna had gone to the pasturing ground without his elder brother, Balram. As soon as Nanda and Yashoda and the cowherd men heard this news, they became even more anxious. Out of this great affection for Krishna, unaware of the extent of Krishna's potencies, they became overwhelmed with grief and anxiety because they had nothing dearer than Krishna and because they dedicated their everything, life, property, affection, mind, and activities to Krishna. Because of the great attachment for Krishna, they thought, today Krishna is surely going to be vanquished. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan came out of the village to see Krishna.
Haribo. Okay, let's see some few pictures.
You can read this portion, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, you can read also.
Krishna brought forward the cows and played on his flute through the forest of Vrindavana. So Krishna is playing flute while bringing the cows with him.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, these paintings are really nice.
Krishna is decorated from head to toe.
Yeah. And the colors are so nicely put here. See, even these little tiny birds, look how beautiful colored it is.
Everything is beautiful in Vrindavan.
Yes, Prabhu. Even see this tiny bird. I first didn't notice it. This looks like a bird, like a little tiny bird. He's so
Wow.
Is that a bird or flower?
It's a bird.
It's a bird. Small bird.
And see how close this tiny bird is to Krishna's lotus.
One more bird is on the
Calf.
right leg of that
Small
cow.
calf.
Small cow.
Oh,
Yes.
White bird.
Yes.
White one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So you see, even pigeons are there.
And covered by able to able to 180-degree movement.
Yeah, this. Haribol. Oh, Hare Krishna, also Bhagaram Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Bhagaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Bhagaram Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
What is being played here?
They're imitating peacock.
Hmm. Even the monkey joined.
Yeah, I think Krishna is imitating monkey.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mocking monk.
Yeah, here is
Baka.
See this boy, he's becoming like bird.
yeah, before
Bakasur. Bakasur.
This is Bakasur, infamous Bakasur.
Yes, and Krishna is splitting him like a leaf.
Yeah, and
Grass.
Balaram and cowherd boy, they just laughing.
Yes. Balaram is like asking like high five.
Wonderful.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I mean, I uploaded the shirt.
Oh yes, very nice. Haribol. Yes, let's hope it goes viral.
Yeah.
So here
Mother
Krishna and Balaram are returning home.
What is this? Aarti and puja.
No,
thali
doop.
also there.
Like it's like incense.
Hmm.
Smoke is coming.
Yes. Doop.
Oh, Haribol. Yes, this is
And this is the
Equal.
famous Kalia.
yeah.
Famous Kalia.
Yeah, and these are his wives, the Kalia's wives, and they say that
Nagapatni.
we think that this apparent punishment to Kalia is actually some benediction.
Actually,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Nagakanya is also a devotee of Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yes.
That's why it's mentioned in Sandhya Aarti. Sorry, Sayana Aarti. Wow.
Yeah, this I heard many times devotees talk about this pastime and how Krishna was dancing on the head. Because there's thousands of head and Krishna was also Tattvavish Prabhu made that one short about this. That was nice. Instagram, I think. How the Krishna is the best dancer in the whole world, you know. Who else can dance thousands of heads? Okay, Haribol, now let's continue.
Should I continue?
Yes, Prabhu, you can continue.
The assembly consisted of children, young and old men, women, animals, and all living entities. They knew that Krishna was their only means of sustenance. While this was happening, Balram, who is the master of all knowledge, stood there simply smiling. He knew how powerful his younger brother Krishna was, and that there was no cause for anxiety when Krishna was fighting with an ordinary serpent of the material world. He did not therefore personally take any part in the concern. On the other hand, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, being disturbed, began to search out Krishna by following the impression of his footprints on the ground, and thus they moved towards the bank of the Yamuna. Finally, by following the footprints marked with flag, bow, and conch shell, the inhabitants of Vrindavan arrived at the river bank and saw that all the cows and boys were weeping to behold Krishna and wrapped in the coils of the black serpent. Then they became still more overwhelmed with grief. While Balram was smiling to see their lamentation, all the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi merged into the ocean of grief because they thought that Krishna was finished. Although the residents of Vrindavan did not know much about Krishna, their love for him was beyond comparison. As soon as they saw that Krishna was in the river Yamuna, enveloped by the serpent Kalia, and that all the boys and cows were lamenting, they simply began to think of Krishna's friendship, his smiling face, his sweet words, and his dealings with them. Thinking of all these, and believing that the Krishna was now within the clutches of Kaliya, they were at once felt that their three worlds had become vacant. Lord Chaitanya also said that he was seeing the three world as vacant for want of Krishna. This is the highest stage of Krishna consciousness. Almost all of the inhabitants of Vrindavana had the highest ecstasy, love for Krishna.
I can
When
take
mother,
it from here.
okay, yes,
Abel.
Haribol.
When Mother Yashoda arrived, she wanted to enter the river Yamuna. Being checked, she fainted. Other friends were equally aggrieved, were shedding tears like torrents of rain or waves of the river. But in order to bring Mother Yashoda to consciousness, they began to speak loudly about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Mother Yashoda remained still, as if dead, because her consciousness was concentrated on the face of Krishna. Nanda and all others who dedicate everything, including their lives, to Krishna, were ready to enter the waters of Yamuna. But Lord Balarama checked them because he was in perfect knowledge that there was no danger. For 2 hours, Krishna remained like an ordinary child, gripped in the coils of Kaliya. When he saw that all the inhabitants of Gokula, including his mother and father, the gopis, and the boys and the cows were thank you. My connection is very slow. Just on the point of death, they had no shelter for salvation from the imminent death. Krishna immediately freed himself. He began to expand his body, and when the serpent tried to hold him, he felt a great strain. On the account of the strain, the coils slackened, and he had no other alternative but to let loose the personality of Godhead, Krishna, from his grip. Kaliya then became very angry, and his hoods expanded. He exhaled poisonous fumes from his nostrils, and his eyes blazed like fire, and flames that issued from his mouth. The great serpent remained still from for some time, looking at Krishna, licking his lips with perfumed tongues. The serpent looked at Krishna with double hoods, and his eyes full of poison. Krishna immediately pounced upon him, just like a just like as just as Garuda swoops upon a snake, thus attacked. Kaliya looked for an opportunity to bite him, but Krishna moved around him. As Krishna and Kaliya moved in the circle, the serpent gradually became fatigued, and his strength seemed to diminish considerably. Krishna immediately pressed down the serpent's hood and jumped up on them, and the lotus feet the Lord's lotus feet became tinged with red from the rays of the jewels of the snake's hood. He he then he who then he who is the original artist of all fine arts, such as dancing, began to dance upon the hoods of the serpents, although they were moving to and fro. Upon seeing the denizens of the upper planetary planets, began to shower flowers, beat drums, play different types of flutes, and sing various prayers and songs. In in this way, all the denizens of heaven, such as Gandharvas, Siddhas, and demigods, became very pleased. While Krishna was dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, um, Kaliya tried to push him down, and with some of his other hoods, Kaliya had about 100 hoods, but Krishna took control of them. He began to dash Kaliya with his lotus feet, and this was more than just this was more than the serpent could bear. Gradually, Kaliya was reduced to struggling for his very life. He vomited all kinds of refuge and exiled fire. While throwing up poisonous material within, Kaliya became reduced to his simple situation of great anger. he began to struggle for existence and tried to raise one of his hoods to kill the Lord. The Lord immediately captured the hood and subdued it by kicking it and dancing on it. It actually appeared as if the supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is being worshipped. The poisons emanating from the mouth of the serpent appeared to be like flower offerings. Kalia then began to vomit blood instead of poison. He was completely fatigued, and his whole body appeared to be broken by the kicks of the Lord. Within the mind, however, he finally began to understand that Krsna was the supreme and began to he realized that Krishna was the supreme Lord, the master of everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The wives of the serpent, known as the Naga Patnis, saw that their husband was being subdued by the kicking of the Lord, within whose womb the whole universe remains. Kali's wives prepared to worship the Lord, although in their haste their dress, hair, and ornaments became disarrayed. They also surrendered unto the Supreme Lord and began to pray. They appeared before him, put forward their offspring, and anxiously offered respectful obeisances, falling down on the bank of the Yamuna. The Naga Patnis knew that Krishna is the shelter of all the surrendered souls, and they desired to release their husband from the impending danger by pleasing the Lord with their prayers. The Naga Patnis began to offer their prayers as follows. O dear Lord, you are equal to everyone. For you there is no distinction between your sons, friends, or enemies. Therefore the punishment which you have so kindly offered to Kali is exactly befitting. O Lord, you have descended especially for the purpose of annihilating all kinds of disturbing elements within the world, and because you are the absolute truth, there is no difference between your mercy and punishment. We think, therefore, that this apparent punishment to Kali is actually some benediction. We consider that your punishment is your great mercy upon us, because when you punish someone, it is to be understood that the reactions of his sinful activities are eradicated. It is already clear that this creature appearing in the body of a serpent must have been overburdened with all kinds of sin. Otherwise, how could he have the body of a serpent? Your dancing on his hoods reduces all the sinful results of actions caused by his having this body of a serpent. It is, therefore, very auspicious that you have become angry and have punished him in this way. We are very astonished to see how you have become so pleased with the serpent, who evidently performed various religious activities in his past lives. Everyone must have been pleased by his undergoing all kinds of penances and austerities, and he must have executed universal welfare activities for all living creatures. The Naga Patnis confirmed that one cannot come in contact with Krishna without having executed pious activities in devotional service in his previous lives. As Lord Chaitanya advised in his Shikshashtaka, one has to execute devotional service by humbly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, and not expecting honor for himself, but offering all kinds of honor to others. The Naga Patnis were astonished that although Kali had the body of a serpent as the result of previous sinful activities, at the same time he was in contact with the Lord to the extent that the Lord's lotus feet were touching his hoods. Certainly, this was not the ordinary result of pious activities. These two contradictory facts astonished them. Thus they continued to pray, "O dear Lord, we are simply astonished to see that he is so fortunate as to have the dust of your lotus feet on his head. This is a fortune sought after by great saintly persons. Even the goddess of fortune underwent severe austerities just to have the blessing of the dust of your lotus feet. So how is it that Kali is so easily getting this dust on his head? We have heard from authoritative sources that those who are blessed with the dust of your lotus feet do not care even for the highest post within the universe, namely the post of Lord Brahma, or the kingship of heavenly planet or the sovereignty of this planet. Nor do such persons desire to rule the planets above this earth, such as Siddhaloka. Nor do they aspire for the mystic powers achieved by the yoga process. Nor do the pure devotees aspire for liberation by becoming one with you. My Lord, although he is born in a species of life which is fostered by the most abominable modes of material nature, accompanied with the quality of anger, this king of the serpents has achieved something very, very rare. Living entities who are wandering within this universe and getting different species of life can very easily achieve the greatest benediction only by your mercy. Hari Bol. Anyone can continue. Next.
Oh, Hare Krishna Nityananda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Nityananda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Nityananda Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, sure.
Okay, Hare Bol.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
In the highlighted area. It is also confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the living entities are wandering within the universe in various species of life. But by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master, they can get the seed of devotional service, and thus their path of liberation can be cleared. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you. The Nagapatnis continued, "O dear Lord, because you are the Supreme Person, you are living as the Supersoul within every living entity. Although you are transcendental to the cosmic manifestation, everything is resting in you. You are the personified indefatigable, eternal time. The entire time force is existing in you, and you are therefore the seer and the embodiment of total time in the shape of past, present, and future. Month, day, hour, moment, everything. In other words, O Lord, you can see perfectly all the activities happening in every moment and in every hour, in every day, every year, past, present, and future. You are yourself the universal form, and yet you are different from this universe. You are simultaneously one and different from the universe. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you. You are yourself the whole universe, and yet you are the creator of the whole universe. You are the superintendent and maintainer of the whole universe, and you are the original cause. Although you are present within the universe by your three qualitative incarnations, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, you are the transcendental to the material creation. Although you are the cause of the appearance of all kinds of living entities, their senses, their lives, their minds, their intelligence, you are to be realized by your internal energy. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you, who are unlimited, finer than the finest, the center of all creation and knower of everything. Different varieties of philosophical speculators try to reach you. You are the ultimate goal of philosophical efforts, and you are actually described by all philosophies and by different kinds of doctrines. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the origin of all scriptures and the source of knowledge. You are the root of all evidences, and you are the supreme person who can bestow upon the supreme knowledge. You are the cause of all kinds of desires, and you are the cause of all kinds of satisfaction. You are the Vedas personified. Therefore, we offer you our respectful obeisances. Our dear Lord, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, and you are also the supreme enjoyer, now appeared as the son of Vasudeva, who is a manifestation of the pure state of goodness. You are the predominating deity of mind and intelligence, Pradyumna and Aniruddha, and you are the Lord of all Vaishnavas. By your expansion as Chaturvya, namely Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna, you are the cause of the development of mind and intelligence. By your activities only, the living entities become covered by forgetfulness or discover their real identity. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. The Lord is sitting as a supersoul in everyone's heart, and due to his presence, the living entity either forgets himself or revives his original identity. We can partially understand that you are within the hearts as the witness of all our activities, but it is very difficult to appreciate your presence, although every one of us can do so to some extent. You are the supreme controller of both the material and spiritual energies. Therefore, you are the supreme leader. Although you are different from the cosmic manifestation, you are the witness and creator, and, and the very ingredient of the cosmic manifestation. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Our dear Lord, in the matter of creating this cosmic manifestation, personally, you have nothing to exert. By expending your different kinds of energy, namely the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance, you can create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation. As the controller of the entire time force, you can simply glance over the material energy, create this universe, and energize the different forces of material nature, which are acting differently in different creatures. No one can estimate, therefore, how your activities are going on within this world. Our dear Lord, although you have expanded into the three principal deities of this universe, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, for creation, maintenance, and destruction, your appearance as Lord Vishnu is actually for the benediction of all living entities, of living creatures. Therefore, for those who are actually peaceful and who are aspiring after the supreme peace, worship of your peaceful appearance as Lord Vishnu is recommended. O Lord, we are submitting our praise unto you. You can appreciate that this poor serpent is going to give up his life. You know that for us women, our wives and everything are our husbands. Therefore, we are praying unto you that you kindly excuse Kalia, our husband, because it is the serpent. Because if this serpent dies, then we shall be in great difficulty. Looking upon us only, please excuse this great offender. Our dear Lord, every living creature is your offspring, and you maintain everyone. The serpent is also your offspring, and you can excuse him, although he has offended you, undoubtedly, without knowing your potency. We are praying that he may be excused for this time. Our dear Lord, we are offering our loving service unto you, because we are all eternal servitors of your Lordship. You can order us and ask us to do whatever you please. Every living being can be relieved from all kinds of despair if he agrees to abide by your orders.
Haribo. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, who wants to be next?
Hare Krishna, you can continue.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
After the Nagapatni submitted their prayers, Lord Krishna released Kaliya from his punishment. Kaliya got back his life force and the working power of his senses. With folded hands, he humbly began to pray to the Supreme Lord Krishna. My dear Lord, I have been born in such a species that by nature am angry and envious, being in the darkest region of the most ignorance. Your Lordship knows well that it is very difficult to give up one's natural instincts, although by such instincts the living creature transmigrates from one body to another. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that it's very, very difficult to get out of the clutches of the material nature. But if anyone surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the most of material nature can no longer act on him. My dear Lord, Kaliya continued, you are therefore the original creator of all kinds of material nature by which the universe is created. You are the cause of the different kinds of mentality possessed by living creatures, by which they have obtained different varieties of bodies. My dear Lord, I am born as a serpent, therefore by nature, instinct, and very angry. How is it then possible to give I my acquired nature without your mercy? It is very difficult to get out of the clutches of your Maya. By your Maya we remain enslaved. My dear Lord, kindly excuse me for my inevitable material tendencies. Now that you can punish me or save me as you desire. After hearing this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was acting as a small human child, ordered the serpent thus: you must immediately leave this place and go to the ocean. Leave without delay. You can take with you all your offsprings, wife, and everything that you possess. Don't pollute the waters of the Yamuna. Let it be drunk by my cows and call her boys without hindrance. The Lord being declared, the order given to the Kalija snake be recited and heard by everyone, so that no one need fear Kalija any longer. Anyone who hears the narration of the Kalija serpent and his punishment will need fear no more the impious activities of snakes. The Lord also declared, if one takes a bath in the Kalija lake where my cowherd boys friends and I had bathed, or if one fasting for a day offers oblations to the forefathers from the water of this lake, he will relieve from all kinds of sinful reaction. That all the Lord also assured Kalija, you came here out of fear of Garuda, who wanted to eat you in the beautiful land by the ocean. Now, after seeing the marks where I have touched your head with my lotus feet, Garuda will not disturb you. The Lord was pleased with Kalija and his wives. Immediately after hearing his order, the wives began to worship him with great offerings of nice garments, flower, garland, jewels, ornaments, sandal, pops, lotus flowers, and nice eatable fruits. In this way, they pleased the master of Garuda, of whom they were very much afraid. Then, obeying the order of our Lord Krishna, all of them left the lake within the Yamuna. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Evil.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 16th chapter of Krishna, subduing Kalya. Rivol.
Evil.
Yeah, I had forgotten this completely, that Garuda eats snakes and creatures like this. So this is why Kalya had run away from Yamuna River. And this is sometimes, they say that any devotees, they don't eat meat, example, but this is one example of a pure devotee who ate meat, because he eats the snakes. He's a pure
Yes,
devotee.
bro. Yeah, but we cannot compare ourselves with Garuda.
We're not Garuda. We shouldn't eat snakes. The next one will be really amazing also. Extinguishing the first fire. Oh, it's a really short one though.
Yeah, well, actually we can finish this
Yeah,
one.
let's read these 3 pages.
Just before you go on to that one day, we discuss the Kaliya serpent. So, the Kaliya serpent, I don't know if you'll know this, that's the only demon that Krishna did not kill.
Yeah, this was, I was
very
surprised.
important
I
point.
was remembering that Krishna will kill, but then it wasn't like that.
Yeah. So the Kaliya serpent represents cunning and malice, but it's like, it's basically false ego. Because it just goes to show that our false ego will always be there, the identification of this body. And that's why we should always subdue it. So Krishna subdued the serpent, which is a very important point. And also another important point, which I like about this, is that the wives, while I was reading, the wives of the serpent of Kaliya, they were begging the Lord for his forgiveness. And it goes to show that only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, because they were devotees of Krishna, the devotees of the Lord, only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, or the Vaishnavis in this case, that someone can be forgiven. It's how sweet that is.
Yeah, that's a nice point.
It's like, it reminds me of the same thing, like when Brahma committed that offense against Krishna when he stole the cowherd boys, and then Surabi cow had to come and beg forgiveness from Brahma.
Yeah.
To ask Krishna. So it's only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas that the Lord will basically forgive. Even if one commits offense against Krishna, it's by the mercy of the Vaishnavas that the Lord will forgive. Because Krishna doesn't forgive that easily. And if one commits offense of the Vaishnava, then one has to get the mercy of the Vaishnava so that Krishna can forgive. So it's a beautiful.
Yes, also Jagai Madai. Jagai Madai story.
Yes.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was about to kill, but Nityananda Prabhu told that don't kill.
Yeah, he's very merciful.
Yes, Haribol. Okay, let's read this also. Chapter 17, Extinguishing the Forest Fire. King Parikshit, after hearing of the chastisement of Kalia, inquired from Sukadeva Goswami as to why Kalia left his beautiful land and why Garuda was so antagonistic to him. Sukadeva Goswami informed the king that the island known as Nagalaya was inhabited by serpent and that Kalia was one of the chief serpents there. Being accustomed to eating snakes, Garuda used to come to his island and kill many serpents at his will. Some of them he actually ate, but some were unnecessarily killed. The reptile society became so disturbed that their leader, Vasuki, appealed to Lord Brahma for protection. Lord Brahma made an agreement by which Garuda would not create a disturbance. On each half-moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda. The serpent was to be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. Garuda was satisfied with this offering, and therefore he did not disturb any other serpents. But gradually, Kalia took advantage of the situation. He was unnecessarily puffed up by the volume of his accumulated poison, as well as by his material power, and he thought, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? He then ceased offering any sacrifice. Instead, he himself ate the offering intended for Garuda. Yeah, it seems to be really common that when they cease to do sacrifices, the problem starts straight away. Even with Indra was not satisfied when
Gordon Lila.
Yeah, with Govardhan, yeah. Giriraj.
So when Garuda, the great devotee carrier of Vishnu, understood that Kalia was eating the offered sacrifices, he became very angry and quickly rushed to the island to kill the offensive serpent. Kalia tried to fight Garuda and faced him with his many hoods and poisonous sharp teeth. Kalia attempted to bite him, and Garuda, the son of Tarksha, in great anger and with the great force deserving the carrier of Lord Vishnu, struck the body of Kalia with his effulgent golden wings. Kalia, who is also known as Kadrusuta, son of Kadru, immediately fled to the lake known as Kaliyadaha, underneath the Yamuna river, which Garuda could not approach. Kalia took shelter within the water of the Yamuna for the following reason. Just as Garuda went to the island of the Kalia snake, so he also used to go to the Yamuna to catch fish to eat. There was, however, a great yogi known as Saubari Muni, who used to meditate within the water there and who was sympathetic with the fish. He asked Garuda not to come there and disturb the fish. Is this the same Muni who got agitated by?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yes.
Saubari Muni.
Muni.
Yeah.
Yes. Although Garuda was not under anyone's order, being the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he did not disobey the order of the great yogi. Instead of staying and eating many fish, he carried off on one big fish. Oh yes, who was their leader. Saubari Muni was sorry that one of the leaders of the fish was taken away by Garuda, and thinking of their protection, he cursed Garuda in the following words: henceforward from this day, if Garuda comes here to catch fish, then I say this with all my strength, he will be immediately killed. Yes, here we see also this henceforward word, it's henceforward
Yes, Prabhu.
until the curse is got over. It doesn't mean that it ends by itself. It doesn't end.
These are all
Yes, and
blessings.
he doesn't. I mean, he didn't recognize the pure devotee in Garuda. That's why, I mean, he committed an offense, and later on, he himself fall down.
Actually, none of these are all curses. They're actually all blessings.
Yeah.
Everything turns out to be
Yes.
blessings. When,
Yes,
especially when a
Prabhu.
Vaishnav curses, the Vaishnav doesn't actually curse. He gives a blessing,
Yeah.
which might seem like a curse, but it's just a purification for the whoever
But I
is
don't
giving
think
the blessing.
it's in. I mean, it's in the case of Saubari Muni. I mean, he wasn't a pure devotee.
Yeah, he's the one that gets purified, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that
actually,
gets purified.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Anyone can continue from.
This
Okay.
curse was known. May I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yes, please.
This curse was known only to Kalia. Kalia was therefore confident that Garuda would not be able to come there, and so he thought it was wise to take shelter of the lake within the Yamuna. But Kalia, taking shelter of Saubari Muni, was not successful. He was driven away from the Yamuna by Krishna, the master of Garuda. It may be noted that Garuda is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is so powerful that he is never subjected to anyone's order or curse. Actually, the cursing of Garuda, who is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be the stature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagwan, was an offense on the part of Saubari Muni. Although Garuda did not try to retaliate, the Muni was not saved from his offensive act against a great Vaishnava personality. Due to this offense, Saubari fell down from his yogic position and afterwards became a householder, a sense enjoyer in the material world. The fall down of Saubari Muni, who was supposed to be absorbed in the spiritual bliss by meditation, is an instruction to the offender of Vaishnavas. When Krishna finally came out of Kalia's lake, he was seen by all his friends and relatives on the bank of Yamuna. He appeared before them, nicely decorated, smeared all over with chandana pulp, bedecked with valuable jewels and stones, and almost completely covered with gold. The inhabitants of Vrindavana, cowherd boys and men, Mother Yashoda, Maharaj Nanda, and all other cows and calves saw Krishna coming from the Yamuna, and it was as though they had recovered their very life. When a person regains his life, naturally he becomes absorbed in pleasure and joyfulness. They each in turn pressed Krishna to their chests, and thus they felt a great relief. Mother Yashoda, Rohini, Maharaj Nanda, and the cowherd men became so happy that they embraced Krishna and thought they had achieved their ultimate goal of life. Balrama also embraced Krishna, but he was laughing because he had known what would happen Krishna when everyone else was so overwhelmed with anxiety. All the trees on the bank of Yamuna, all the cows, bulls, and cows were full of pleasure because Krishna's appearance there. The Brahmana inhabitants of Vrindavana, along with their wives, immediately came to congratulate Krishna and his family members. Brahmanas are considered to be the spiritual masters of society. They offered their blessings to Krishna and the family on account of Krishna's release. They also asked Maharaj Nanda to give them some charity on the occasion. Being so pleased by Krishna's return, Maharaj Nanda began to give many cows and much gold in charity to the Brahmanas. While Nanda Maharaj was thus engaged, Mother Yashoda simply embraced Krishna and made him sit on her lap while she shed tears continuously. Since it was almost night, all the inhabitants of Vrindavana, including the cows and calves, were very tired. They decided to take their rest on the river bank. In the middle of the night, while they were taking rest, there was suddenly a great forest fire, and it quickly appeared that the fire would soon devour all the inhabitants of Vrindavana. As soon as they felt the warmth of fire, they immediately took shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he was playing just like their child, they began to say, "Our dear Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, our dear Balrama, the reservoir of all strength, please try to save us from all this devouring and devastating fire. We have no other shelter than you. This devastating fire will swallow us all." Thus they prayed to Krishna, saying that they could not take any shelter other than his lotus feet. Lord Krishna, being compassionate upon his own townspeople, immediately swallowed up the whole forest fire and saved them. This was not impossible for Krishna because he is unlimited. He has unlimited power to do anything he desires. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the 17th chapter of Krishna, extinguishing the forest fire. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri
Hari
Prabhupada.
Bol.
Wow. So what's the meaning behind the forest fire? Is it devotee fighting or argument, I believe?
It was just a forest fire.
Yeah, the
Yes.
forest fire. What does the forest fire represent?
It's
Natural forest
devotee
fire.
fight. No,
Fire
No, no.
represents our narthas, I think, my understanding.
yes, that's a Narta, but like I remember seeing, like, but correct me if I'm wrong, like it meant like, you know, like the infighting of devotees if they fight against each other. Made the description on each demon.
Yeah, but this I couldn't find.
Why does Krishna do this to his devotees or to his friends, basically? He
What's
makes them
that?
block their eyes. Krishna makes them block their eyes before he swallows the forest fire. Also, I think it was because the last time when Krishna ate the dirt and then his friends told on him to your mother Yashoda, and then that's why Krishna now tells them to block, to cover up, to block his eyes so that while he engulfs, while he swallows the forest fire. Because they never see him do it.
Yeah, here also it said that close their eyes and also not to worry.
Yes, I've just went through, Srimad Bhagavatam, this chapter. Srila Prabhupada in his purpose also is saying the same thing.
Which
Yeah,
verse
because-
is it? Do you have
Yeah, it's 18th chapter. Oh, no, 19th chapter.
which canto is it? Oh,
10th canto,
10,
Prabhu.
yeah.
Yeah.
19 chapter.
Basically, Prabhu, the point is that everyone approached Krishna at that moment. So Krishna is the ultimate shelter for everyone. That is the point of this
Yes, yeah.
chapter.
Okay.
It's the
You
same
can-
thing. Like, why does Krishna allow his devotees? Why did, remember when we read the Leela of Agasura? He allowed all of them to go into the serpent's mouth. So all of them go get poisoned and unconscious. Then he saves everyone. You see, he's always saving like a hero undercover where nobody can see he's doing it.
Yeah.
Just like when the Kaliya serpent, all his friends and the cows when he go drink the water and they all got poisoned and then they all passed out. Then he went to go save. Then the rest of the Brajvasis came and they seen him do this. I think tomorrow I'll go past Kaliya and I'll give you a dash and I'll send a video of pictures. The Kaliya tree that's here.
Prabhu, can you go to the 14th verse, the purport? You see, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan simply loved Krishna as their only friend and exclusive object of devotion. To increase their ecstasy, Krishna displayed to them his mystic potency and saved them. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, this is very nice pastime.
So many intricacies are there.
Yeah.
How would we know this without Prabhupada? Come on.
Yes, Prabhu.
And it's very detailed, very descriptive. Prabhupada gives a very descriptive.
Yeah.
This first-hand
you see even
experience.
cows.
Yes,
You see poor cows even surrounded by forest fire.
Oh, see this version. See what is laying here. But Balaram is not.
Yeah, you see they close their eyes.
Yeah.
You see? But cows are smiling. They know that Krishna will protect them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you see how nice they are.
Caribou, now let's go to 6 Astakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam pudivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam.
Namnamakari bahutkhani sarva shaktis tatrarpitani yamitah smaranena kalaham etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midrisha mihajani nanuragaham.
Not a piece of niche, not a piece of Krishna, Amarina, Dena, Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari.
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
नंद तनुजा किंकरम पतितानां मां विषमे भावं बुधौ कृपया तव पद पंकजा स्थित धूलि सदर्शम विचिंतया.
नयनं गलदशुद्धारया वदनं गद्गदारुथया गिरा पुलकैर्निशितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति.
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्शायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनं मर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विधातु लम्पतो मत्प्राणानाथस्तु स एव नापरः. Haribu. Okay, translation.
Can you zoom it a little?
Yeah, it's hard because otherwise it doesn't have the whole.
The last one wasn't the ninth one.
Usually this is not read when we recite the.
Yeah, because this is Falashruti.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Haribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
My Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, such as you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies, and they're not even hard and fast rules for chanting these holy names. Oh my Lord, how kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense and of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharajananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Oh Govinda, feeling a separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
Hare Krishna, Karti Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Really nice to have you here, Prabhu. I know no one but Krishna, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Sri Siksastakam ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Jai. Harinam
Jai.
ki jai. Panchatattva ki jai. श्री कृष्ण
Jai.
चैतन्य की जय, प्रभु
Jai.
नित्यानंद की
Jai.
जय, जगत गुरु
Jai.
Jai.
स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai.
जय गौर
Jai.
प्रेम हरि
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari